Hey everyone, I'm Kelly, and I'll be doing your Bible school lesson for today. Today's lesson focuses on Jesus' love is the foundation for our lives. Jesus tells lots of parables in the Bible. These are just stories that help us understand Jesus' teachings. Today's parable is about the wise and foolish builders, and it comes from Matthew 7:24 through 29. One day Jesus was speaking to a crowd of people. He told them a parable about two builders to help them understand why it was so important to listen to his words and to do what he said. Jesus began by telling the crowd that everyone who heard the words he spoke and acted on them would be like the wise man who built his house on a rock. The house had a strong foundation so that when rains fell, the rivers rose, and the winds blew against it, the house did not collapse. However, those who heard Jesus' words but did not act on them would be like the foolish man who built his house on the sand. His house did not have a strong foundation, so when the rains fell, the rivers rose, and the winds blew against the house, it came crashing down. Jesus' teaching amazed the people who had been listening to him. Jesus told the parable to help us understand that when we listen and obey him, we have a strong foundation for whatever happens in our lives. Jesus told the people who would listen that his words and act on them would have a strong foundation, that anybody who acted on them would have a strong foundation. When we live for Jesus, we are living a life full of faith. Without faith in him, our lives will crumble like the foolish builders. But with faith in Jesus, we will have a strong foundation that won't fail. So let's look at this little demonstration that I'm going to give you. Okay, these jars right here represent our lives. The golf balls represent our faith in Jesus. The pebbles represent our family and our friends, and the sand represents everything else. Okay, so for this first one, I'm going to put the sand in first, which is everything else in our lives. Okay, so that's everything else that's in our lives right there that I put in there. Then I'm going to put in the golf balls, which represents our faith in Jesus, and then the rocks, which represent everything else in our lives. Okay? And notice how that looks. All right? When our lives are not in order, we're left with empty spaces, as you can see. There's lots of empty spaces in here. And the most important part can't fit in, which is Jesus. Okay? Jesus is the golf balls, and if you notice, they don't fit in there. So now, in this other jar, I'm going to put it in a different order. I'm going to put Jesus in first, okay? And then I'm going to put in some of the rocks, which is everything else in our lives, and then which is our family and friends, and then I'm going to put in the sand, which is everything else. When Jesus is the most important thing in our life, everything fits. Jesus should be our foundation. We need to allow him to continue to build the good work he began in us. So you can see the difference. In this one, when we put Jesus in last, it doesn't fit. But when we put Jesus in first, everything fits. He is our foundation, and that's what we need to build our lives on, is the firm foundation of Jesus.